Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by T.A. Forsberg and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So diversity, equity, and inclusion has grown beyond human resource buzzwords and into some really major directional changes for businesses, nonprofits, and higher education. Lansing Community College has announced that it will soon unveil a formal and impressive nod to the Changemakers and Trailblazers of Mid-Michigan. Here to share the story is the LCC Foundation Executive Director, Cathy Zell, and LCC President, Dr. Steve Robinson. Welcome to the show, Cathy and Steve.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good morning, Chris.
All right. So I use phrases like multi-generational impact and Changemakers and Trailblazers. So can you start us off by just talking about, who are you trying to honor and why are you doing so?
Sure thing. Thanks for having us on. Cathy and I are very excited to share this with you. So as you know, Chris, Lansing Community College is known for placemaking. We do a lot of public sculpture, ambient learning, using our spaces to teach the community things about our history and our past. That's exactly what this Barrier Breakers project is going to be. It's an installation that will commemorate the historical contributions of African Americans to Greater Lansing. There's a beautiful pocket of our Gannon building that is going to be renovated with a public sculpture and some electronic displays commemorating the contributions that African Americans have made to the Lansing area. We're very excited about it.
That's excellent. And you mentioned LCC's investment in placemaking, and you've won awards. I mean, I've lived here since 2008, and I've seen the campus really evolve into an aesthetically beautiful, I think maybe people have a perception of what a community college is supposed to feel like, but this feels it's inside and out. The place is just absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. I get to community colleges across this country, and I can tell you, not just community colleges, this is probably the prettiest urban college campus you'll find anywhere. The mall along Washington Square there, where we have our downtown campus, is one of the most attractive higher ed landscapes that you'll see, with public art, great architecture. And this is just a complement to that placemaking work that we've been doing for decades.
So where did the idea come from to get this new project launched?
Well, so this idea came directly from a trustee, Andrew Abood, and Dr. Robinson kind of rolled with it. I'll let you talk a little bit more about his idea.
Thanks, Cathy. So former trustee Andrew Abood, prominent attorney here in town, was a pivotal member of our board of trustees. And before he left the board, he had the idea to recognize the folks who've contributed to our history, African American leaders, before they pass away. So the idea started as some way to commemorate that in an LCC fashion, which is placemaking, sculpture, art. And Cathy and I worked with a team to come up with several different options. One was kind of a landscape architecture installation. The other was a traditional public sculpture like we've seen. And Trustee Abood was instrumental in building one of those. We have one called Upward Bound on campus. But the third option was an interactive electronic display that you can walk through. And that was the option that our trustees chose. And that's what's in development right now. It's going to be really exciting.
That's great. Now, you mentioned the Gannon building. It's going to be interwoven. So what purpose does the Gannon building serve for those who don't know?
So the Gannon building is our workhorse student services building. So this is our one-stop shop called the Star Zone, where students, when a student just wanders onto campus and says, I want to get started at LCC, they go to the Gannon building. And the Gannon building is named after our founding president, Phil Gannon. So it's a huge complex of student services. But on this particular floor, there's a large atrium. And what we're planning, and it's going to be stunning, Chris, is our marketing director, Bruce Mackley, is a designer who has designed many of these public installations that everybody sees. As your eyes go up in this space, there are these sheets of shimmering glass that look like the Northern Lights. Wow. It's going to be amazing. In your show notes, we can put pictures for it. But they're green and orange and kind of simulate what the Northern Lights look like. There will be 3 interactive panels that you can walk through, and that's what we're planning right now. Is the electronic aspect of how there'll be stories, photos, videos commemorating the folks who helped our region develop.
I'm glad that you're videotaping this because you're.
Yeah, that's right. You can see I'm talking with my hands here. Yeah.
You know, and you mentioned that it's a beautiful space. It will be a beautiful space.
Right,
you know,
right.
this space in Gannon looks like it did when I was in college. Several decades ago. It's a space that hasn't been renovated in some time, and so it's time, and it's just going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, and if I could, Chris, I'd like to just sort of brag about our LCC Foundation and the role that Cathy has. We had kind of a inaugural or pre-meeting for the kickoff of the campaign for this. Cathy and her staff hosted a number of people to show them the space, which right now is pretty rough. It's the Gannon building was built in 1976.
Okay.
This is the last pocket of the building that hasn't been renovated. So it's going to be stunning when it's done, but right now it looks like a time capsule from the bicentennial era, right?
Right.
And but we have great renderings of what it's going to be like. But Cathy pulled a number of thought leaders in town together to kind of start this process of naming rights, and we already have some great partners. But this is one of, in the time that I've been here, one of our first kind of capital campaigns to get investment into this really neat asset for the community.
Yeah.
Great. Before we jump into the capital campaign, because I want to talk about that, I want to talk about another person who's in the financial space.
Great.
Are you ready to make smart financial decisions? Wagner Financial offers proven processes to financial transformation, empowering individuals at all stages, whether you're just starting out, nearing retirement, or anywhere in between. Stop feeling unsure about your financial path. Wagner can help you undergo a financial transformation. Schedule a consultation today to discuss your individual needs and discover how Wagner Financial can guide you through this transformation. Visit Wagner-financial.com or call 517-853-3367. So you talk about capital campaign, because one of the first questions I had is like, how the heck do you pay for this? And everyone, money always seems to be tight in other places, and how do you do this? So, again, you think corporate sponsorships, capital campaigns, you're not just going to stroke a check out of the general fund, I would imagine, or I don't know how that works. So why don't you talk a little bit about how you're making the money happen?
As a transition to the foundation aspect, I will tell you that the college did make an initial investment into the area. It's a part of the building that needs to be renovated.
Exactly. You're going to do it, yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely. So the board, when we brought this plan to them, allocated a significant amount to get started. So the good news is Cathy and her team didn't need to wait until they reached a certain amount of money in the bank to exit a silent phase, because the college had put in a preliminary investment to get it going. But in order to do it right, and in order, not just for the money, but for the partnership, we want to do a capital campaign. That's the kind of thing that Cathy and her team at the foundation just excel at. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about where we are. We've got some great, exciting partners already.
We really do. And I think the other piece is, as we started planning for this, it got more and more expensive. We talked about video boards and, and obviously everything goes up. So we had kind of committed to raise $100,000. We're at $100,000. We're at $130,000.
Nice.
But I also think we probably need another $100,000 to do what we want to do. So we have 5 walls that can be named. 2 of those have been named, so we have 3 available. But LAFQ has stepped up, and Case Credit Union, and so we're really excited to have them on board. And then there are other naming opportunities all the way down to a bench. So, but we have some fabulous partners on board, from Rathbun Insurance, Abood, who this idea came from, Andrew Abood. They made a lead gift, so we're excited to have Abood Law on board. We've got Old National Bank, so we've got some really great partners, and we want to bring more. We've got more opportunities to do that. And the more that we do, the better and prettier the space can be. And it'll be a space that the community can use, not just the college. So I think that's another, that as we were doing the early look, people kept saying, so can I have a retreat here? How do I bring my company here?
Right.
How do I do this here? So it's really going to be a beautiful space.
Now, I was telling Cathy at noon, my team has the Gannon building reserved, or a portion of it, or so I have a meeting there today at noon.
Oh, fantastic. Well, if you wander over to the space, it's not looking like it's going to. But what I will tell you is, Cathy teased a little bit of this. This is a part of the building that's been underutilized, and there's going to be some adjacent conference rooms, which are going to be very attractive, and some other more kind of mundane things. We have to redo the bathrooms up there and everything like that. But this little thoroughfare, and it's not little actually, it's a nice long rectangle with a very high ceiling. will just be a great centerpiece for reflection on these issues, on these contributions of African Americans to our community. So there'll be 3 curved panels, and what Cathy's talking about is that not only do we excel in placemaking, but we're pretty technologically advanced as a community college. So there will be these curved video wall boards with some interactive displays. We're still designing those with our folks, but that's the kind of thing we excel at. If you've ever walked across campus and been through Guitar Plaza, which is the outdoor patio area, it's the only outdoor patio area I know that has a built-in soundtrack. There are speakers there playing guitar music, soft guitar music, while people study and eat their lunch, and that's the kind of aesthetic and production value we're going for.
Well, I think about LCC and community colleges in general, and it seems that the partnerships and the content of what you're building are so intermeshed with your mission, because you're really trying to inspire your students to believe that they can be trailblazers and change leaders and all of those things, right? So it should be a place of inspiration to be able to see these faces and hear the stories and see these video boards. But then the partnerships, right? Because I mean, you can't read 2 articles in the newspaper without hearing someone talking about not having enough talent. So the partnerships and the call to action, I'll help you a little bit on this because you've got great people already doing it, but you're going to want your company's brand right in the heart of where these students are being inspired. So why wouldn't they say, this is inspiring stories that are making me believe that I can become what I want to become. And then here are the employers regionally that wanted to contribute to me being inspired. So maybe I'll consider working for them, because if their core values align with writing a check to make this beautiful space to inspire the youth of tomorrow, then maybe they'll treat me well as an employee.
Absolutely. And I think that that's true of all of our partners. I mean, they are the people who have come on board you see at other community events. They are they are really embraced in this community.
Right.
We have just had great support for this and other projects. The foundation, while we're a separate entity, but we're not, because we're a separate entity solely to support the college and our students. And most of what we do is raise money for scholarships and provide some program support. So this is a little different, but it's also that ambient learning that he was talking about. It's still going to really support students, and just it's been a fun way to bring some different partners that maybe didn't quite fit some of the other things we were doing into the fold.
So when you, we haven't talked about kind of who specifically you're going to honor. Do you envision this being, and I know some of the answer to this, but I honestly don't know the rest of it. Is there going to be kind of an inaugural class of people that are going to be honored to get things started? And then will you add people as they gain notoriety in 30 years from now? A student that you have now who's a leader in arts or industry or whatever will become an honorary Hall of Famer?
Absolutely, and that is how it's going to work. So while the project was in development, one of our leaders, Dr. Tony Glasgow, convened focus groups in the community about what that inaugural class of folks who would be recognized. But one of the great strengths, Chris, of choosing this choosing the electronic path is that it's something we can update over time.
Right.
And as we get photographs and video, we can add that. And if I could just brag about the foundation for a moment, Cathy's exactly right. The foundation raises a lot of resources for scholarships, but this gets to our mission. You mentioned the mission of the community. The best community colleges in the country do 2 things. We do social mobility for students and their families, and we make the communities we serve a better place. This does both of those things. This is a place where students can go and say, here are the leaders, the trailblazers of my community who came before me and provided these opportunities for me. And even if resources weren't an issue, the work that Cathy's doing to get partners, this is collaborative storytelling.
Right.
And we have these partners to do this work. And I'll just tell you, at that inaugural event, people got so excited, not just for the recognition, they wanted to be a part of this. They wanted their name on it. And so it's going to be exciting.
That's fantastic. Well, I'll take another nod to our sponsors at Triterra. Triterra is a leading environmental consulting firm headquartered in Lansing, Michigan, with a staff around the state to serve your brownfield development, environmental consulting, and natural resource management needs. Since 2008, Triterra has been successfully advising a wide range of organizations to implement solutions to complex environmental challenges. If you are a business, a developer, a property owner, lending institution, attorney, or governmental entity looking for a solution and you want prompt and timely service, do not hesitate to contact my friends at Triterra. Led by CEO and visionary Don McNabb and his leaders J.P. Buckingham and Dave Van Haren, and they are supported by dozens of technical experts you can't miss by calling them. 517-702-0470 or check them out at triterra.us. They mean it when they say it's not just what we do, it's who we are and how we do it. So give us a timeline. Where do things stand, and when do you suspect this is all going to be unveiled? Is there a groundbreaking, or is it just going to be a ribbon cutting, or that already happened?
No, the groundbreaking hasn't happened. What we need to do is get to a place where it looks like these pictures that we see here, right? And then actually, I don't think we have a specific time plan for that, Cathy. We want to make sure that it has the right production values before we do that. Right now, we've got a technical team working with engineers about building these the walls, the interactive walls, and we're currently speccing out the kind of video. What my dream is to have these curved video walls that you sometimes see at conferences, and then and to make sure that all that is specced out. We took some of the other non-artistic projects to bid back in June to get the bathrooms rolling and the classroom rolling, but we're talking probably another year before we really can cut a ribbon on it. And the folks who are investing at that wall sponsorship level will get incredible recognition at an event like that.
That's great.
Yeah, and they've really come in early, which is wonderful because it's given us the financial resources to be able to plan this the way and do some things kind of extra. But they also know that means we have ideas on what these 5 walls might be, but they're not set in stone yet. So as they sign up, they get first choice, second choice, until they're sold, and then that's going to be down the road. So we do hope to have kind of a groundbreaking, we're ready to go when the construction projects around are done, and absolutely a ribbon cutting and, a kickoff reception and all of that space. And it's going to be great space to show off. So we're going to want to do that.
And do you have you decided on who the inaugural class is going to be? Or maybe if you don't want to tease, we can wait and then keep them.
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit,
that's fine.
Right? We've got some ideas, and I don't know that they're all completely set in stone, but, some of the obvious people, you're going to see a Magic Johnson, maybe for business instead of basketball. I think we know him, for basketball, but the business that he's done. And I think he's a great example of what happens when you show somebody what you can do. I don't know if you went to the economic club.
I did.
He spoke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's talking about what it meant to go to Joel Ferguson's office and, I can be a businessman, right? So I think that's part of what some of the space will do. In the renderings, you see a picture of Dr. Eva Evans. I met Eva when I was in 5th grade. I've known her a long time.
That's so cool.
That kind of, when I saw the picture, that brought tears to my eyes. Just some really great people. So they're definitely going to be people that you all know. We're looking at newer, younger people in the community. They're making a difference. I'm turning my head thing when you told me not to do, but
that's fine. Totally
but
fine.
yeah, I think so. There we can tease a few, and we've got some ideas, and we're really looking forward to having that.
Yeah, the other thing to add to what Cathy shared about that is there'll be themes in this. So there'll be a business section, an education section, arts, sports and culture, faith and community-based organizations, public service, social justice, and the focus group that was convened had a very strong feeling that we should recognize those names that we all know, but we should take a deeper dive to see some of the more grassroots community activist folks. So you'll see a range of prominent folks and maybe not so prominent folks, but who made really a significant contribution.
So important at this day and age. Every 6 months or so, you see something that's like, well, who the quarterback was that won the Super Bowl last year, but did you know that this, 15-year-old African-American girl just got accepted to med school as a young, it's like some of these success stories that are real success. I mean, not that being a quarterback on a Super Bowl team isn't an achievement. It certainly takes a lot of work. But who do we value and how do we get there is important. So that's fantastic. So you've been referencing pictures and you've been, talking about that. Where can people learn more about this project and kind of follow along?
Yeah. So as far as the project goes, we're working on a webpage that'll be up. But to do support, probably the easiest thing is just to go to lcc.edu/foundation.
Correct. Okay.
They'll find all of our information there. Obviously, easy ways to donate, but also a quick way to connect. And we can get you a packet of information about this, and definitely let you know when the website is up and live and ready to go. I've seen some. It's being built, so I've seen some pieces of it.
So lcc.edu/foundation.
/foundation. You can learn all about the foundation, but there will be dedicated material there about this initiative, this project. And Chris, I know you and I both travel around a lot. Cathy does too. One of the really interesting things about working on this project is kind of doing some benchmarking. We're basically building a mini pocket museum.
Right.
And so one of our first kind of visual benchmarks is the African American History Museum in D.C. If you've ever been there, it's fantastic, great displays. Recently, I was at a community college conference in Louisville, and the Muhammad Ali Museum also is a great example of artifacts and screens and things like that. So this is going to be something that I think will be on the level of that kind of production value.
That's fantastic. Well, I appreciate you coming in. It's such a great story. Cathy, what's your email in case people want to reach out and donate directly instead of waiting until the website's updated?
Absolutely. Well, and I will say you can email us at foundation@lcc.edu, which might be easier.
Yep.
My personal email is Zell, my last name, A3@lcc.edu. A little bit harder maybe to remember. But
it's just such a great story. Really happy to tell it. Thank you for everything that you're doing. We've been talking to the LCC Foundation Executive Director, Cathy Zell, and the Lansing Community College President, Dr. Steve Robinson, about this fantastic new space coming to the Gannon building. Thanks for your investment.
Thanks
I appreciate
you
joining me here today. And I'd like to give a final shout out to all my loyal sponsors, Forsberg Real Estate, Wagner Financial, Triterra Environmental, Good Marketing, the attorneys at Foster Swift, and Keller Williams Advantage and Team. These are great people who are worth the call. Thanks for following me on Michigan Reimagined.